Words cannot express what I'm about to share with you regarding silver and also platinum. This might be the biggest news of the decade, if not ever. Let's talk about it as we explore. This is not hyperbole, and it may not have a direct impact on the price for a while, but this is something very big, and it does give us an indication as to really how short the supply for silver very well could be. And that will affect supply chains. That's one of the indicators that makes silver now as being nominated for a critical mineral from the U.S. Geological Survey. That's right. Now, I saw this first over on Profits Plus ID's post here on X, and also was shared with me by Alan Gold. This is big news, folks, even if it doesn't actually make the list. And that's an important indicator as to what's going on in the precious metals market. The fact that it is now being drafted as a potential inclusion for the Department of Interior's critical mineral list. Now, what are the standards for picking a critical mineral, and why wasn't silver on it before, and why not platinum before? And by the way, gold still is not on that list. And by every stretch and every measure, gold is more rare than silver. So what's up with that? Well, a little background to it is these are minerals that are critical because, not necessarily because of their rarity, but because they are indeed difficult to come by, because of supply chain issues, because of where they're being mined. It's they can be very much a situation where it's difficult to get from for one reason or another. Geopolitics can play a role, and I think that's one of the reasons why platinum is being suggested to be on this list. But also, there's other factors that can affect the supply chain, and rarity is one indicator of that. Of course, platinum is about between 15 and 30 times rarer than gold. No one knows exactly how much more rare it is than gold. It's just that it is far more than 10 to 1 rarity than gold. But it has not been on a list before until now. But gold is readily available through multiple avenues, through trade, and it's not just through the regular supply chains, but also through central banks. So I don't think that gold will ever be on this critical minerals list, by the way. Silver has over 10,000 uses. And so many people are questioning, why has it not been on the list before now? Because it's been readily available as well. In fact, the largest producer of silver is our next door neighbor. If you're American, you know our country to the south. Our neighbor to the south is Mexico. And of course, that is now becoming an issue because for the fifth year in a row, we have seen either a supply shortage to some degree or very close to it by the most conservative measures. And now we find ourselves in a situation where we very well could see silver make this official list. And this is the interior draft of the list of critical minerals. So I'm going to read part of this because I think this is important to make this distinction. But the United States remains heavily dependent on imports of certain mineral commodities that are vital to the nation's economic and national security interest. Indeed it does, and that is really the bottom line here. By the way, as for many of us, silver is critical for our stacks for wealth preservation, and next time you are looking and shopping around for silver, and by the way, this video is not to say that silver's price is going to explode overnight, even if it makes the critical minerals list, but it is a use case for silver kind of maintaining kind of where it is in terms of price at the very least. Even with some pullbacks, I think there's going to be strong support for silver. So that's why look for the dips and shop around. Do not buy out of fear, but check out Summit Metals next time you're shopping for silver to see what they have and experience their great customer service and fast shipping. Now, the summary goes on to say that the dependency has the potential to create strategic vulnerabilities arising from adverse foreign actions, pandemics, natural disasters, or other events that can disrupt the supply of critical minerals. But they've got to be listed as a critical mineral first to see. And silver is becoming more and more critical. No question about that. Many people feel it should have been on this list a long time ago. But again, remember, silver for all intents and purposes, especially in bullion form, is pretty abundant. You can buy this stuff anywhere and everywhere you want. In fact, there's a glut of it from many local coin shops and even dealers out there. Hence why the premiums have been relatively low, especially for constitutional silver. But the Department of the Interior published lists of critical minerals in 2018 and 2022. Section 7002 of the Energy Act of 2020 requires the U.S. Geological Survey, on behalf of the Secretary of the Interior, to update the list of critical minerals every 3 years. And now, for the first time, we have got a draft list here for an opportunity to comment on the 2025 draft list of critical minerals. And so that's what this is about. Now, to ensure consideration, written comments must be submitted but 30 days after the date of publication of in the Federal Register. Addressees, you may submit written comments, and so if you want to write your comments to them, you can find this link. In fact, I might post a link to this PDF so you can read it for yourself and submit comments and say, yes, keep silver on it. Although remember, if you do that, it very well could potentially be one of those things that does cause the price to rise some. I don't think it'll be a whole lot, but if you want cheap silver, you might want to do this. You might want them to take it off the list. But again, I'm not saying it's going to cause the price of silver to go to the moon. Keep that. I want to make that abundantly clear. But remember, it's pretty interesting to see how this is laid out and one of the reasons behind this. And they're adding it in platinum too. Platinum, I think, very well could be a bigger case for the price to rise up for this metal because it is so much more rare, and because really most people think, and being as a catalyst, and also for hydrogen fuel cells, it's also very important. And so I think that it becomes more critical in that area. And there's still a lot of gasoline and hybrid vehicles out there that require platinum as a catalyst. Now, on behalf of the Secretary, the Acting Director of the USGS presents a table with a draft of list of 54 mineral commodities proposed for inclusion in the 2025 list of critical minerals. And if you go down this list, some of these minerals you will never have heard of. Some of them you might think should have been here already, like cobalt and copper. But copper is very abundant too, but it is now on the list as well, and it's very abundant. Cesium, bismuth was not on it before, apparently, and gallium is even on there. Yes, indeed. That's the metal that melts at 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Hafnium, indium, as well as iridium. Iridium, indeed, is a very rare metal, and it is very close to the osmium in terms of rarity and density. Palladium has also been added as well. Niobium, nickel, and potash. Yes, indeed. That's right. Potash. I think that was one of the first patents for potash, if I'm not mistaken, signed by George Washington back in the day. Ruthenium, rhodium is also on the list. So, yes, it looks like all the platinum group metals, and I don't know if some of these are carryovers from the previous list or not, but I haven't checked. Tungsten is also on the list. And so, yes, zinc as well as zirconium. Mineral commodities are included on the 2025 draft list of critical minerals based off of a methodology presented in a USGS report. The analysis involved the examination of numerous supply chain disruption scenarios and an estimation of their potential effect on the U.S. gross domestic product, including a probabilistic economic impacts table consistent with the department's commitment on gold standard science under Executive Order 14303. The methodology publication essentially is something that is they look at as transparent and reproducible, and went through an unbiased peer review process. So it's interesting. Now, the Energy Act of 2020 also defined critical minerals as those which are essential to the economic or national security of the United States, the supply chain of which is vulnerable to disruption. Yes, including restrictions associated with foreign political risk, abrupt demand growth. And we're seeing that with silver. I think well, not necessarily abrupt, but we are seeing demand growth to the point now where, especially with the other thing here, military conflict has increased over the last couple of years since this was last released. That requires more silver, which means it's even more important in that area. Anti-competitive or protectionist behaviors, and many people criticize the Trump administration for that. And so, therefore, there could be a political aspect to this as well. And other risks throughout the supply chain and serve as an essential function in the manufacturing of a product, including energy, technology, defense, currency, agricultural, consumer electronics, and healthcare-related applications. Boom. I can't tell you, all that stuff applies. Even the agricultural component can apply to silver, the absence of which would have significant consequences for the economic and national security of the United States. I don't think silver has ever been, or platinum has ever been, listed as a critical mineral. So this may be some of the biggest silver news ever that I'm reporting to you now. And again, thanks to Alan Gold for sharing with me, as well as Bob Coleman from Profits Plus for sharing it. He's got a lot of good information on his X platform, on his X account there. So yes, so this is something. Now, the term defined critical mineral does not include fuel minerals, water, ice, or snow, common varieties of sand, gravel, stone, pumice, cinders, or clay. That's right, it does not include that. Or your tears. If you're sad, it does not include your tears. So I hope this video doesn't make you sad. So there it is. So fascinating indeed. We'll see if this gets added, if these metals will get added. My guess is they probably will. Fascinating indeed. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.